Rob, interesting because look, it's almost become a cliche, almost a mockery. Like Jerry Jones talks after every game, right? He holds his own press conference.
He's got his own show on a radio station in Dallas.
He's always got something to say, always, and yet he has not said a word about this whole racial situation. And some of his, former players, and one of his former players, Bryant, tweeted on Sunday, somebody should have brought Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and Jason Witten to this protest down in Austin, Texas. This is not a policy change. This is a heart change. And yeah, I said it. So Dez wants to hear from Jerry Jones. And he clarified, he talked to Sports Illustrated after and said, look, I'm not saying he's a racist. I know Jerry. They got a good relationship, but he said he needs to learn. He needs to listen to some people. He needs to feel that energy, and that's what he wanted from him. Now, Richard Sherman, he spoke to the San Francisco Chronicle this week, and he called out Jerry Jones as well and other owners. He wants to hear more from other owners. He said, it's not pulling them like it is the rest of the country, because if it was, then they'd speak. Jerry Jones especially has no problem speaking up any other time about anything else. But when it's such a serious issue and he could really make a huge impact on it with a few words, his silence speaks volumes. Now, remember, Jones is the one that, said the Cowboys better stand. And he went full bore with the change of narrative that President Trump started with saying it was disrespectful of the flag and all that. And so,
and he threatened his players, Chris. You remember?
Yeah.
And that's what I call it, a threat. And said if any player kneeled down, they wouldn't be wearing a Cowboys uniform. Rob G, did you ever find that quote? Wasn't it something of that ilk?
Well, here's one quote.
Okay.
We cannot in any way give the implication that we tolerate disrespecting the flag. We know that there is a serious debate in this country about those issues. And first of all, it shouldn't even be a debate about the issue that Kaepernick was really calling out, right? That shouldn't even be a debate. But there is no question, these are Jerry's words, in my mind, that the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys are going to stand up for the flag. So, Jerry, I'm with Richard Sherman and I'm with Dez Bryant. Like, his silence is deafening. I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm not saying, it's stopping the movement, obviously. But he needs to speak, being somebody that's always speaking.
Chris,
always, right?
I'm going to say it like this, and I'm just going to call it like I see it. If you remain silent during this, then you're not with us. And when I say us, the people who want change in this country and want something different.
Right.
Jerry Jones matters in this world. He owns one of the biggest franchises, if not the biggest in this country. He's a part of the Good Old Boy Network. He's a name that people would know. And if, the elder statesman Jerry Jones stands up and talks about making real change in this country and giving in, it carries some weight. So for him to be silent and not to say anything tells you what side he's on, and that's the way a lot of people would have to look at it, because there's no other way. Silence means that you're endorsing the status quo. And most people are willing, Chris, to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to be a part of that. I'm not going to be silent anymore. We've seen all these NFL players who shun Colin Kaepernick, who have now changed their mind and have now stepped up to the plate and said, no, we can't be silent on this. We just saw George Floyd murdered before our eyes. How? How can you be silent?
I totally agree with you. And I think this is going to be interesting, very interesting, because we know he's friends with Donald Trump. We know Donald Trump's already questioned the NFL statement from Roger Goodell, to put it lightly, right? And I think there's going to be more coming from that. I think Trump's going to, challenge him harder, and Goodell's got to stand his ground. Got to stand his ground. Where will guys like Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft, what are they going to do? And furthermore, Rob, We heard Adrian Peterson. Now, he's obviously not a Cowboy, but we heard him say he's going to be kneeling. And he thinks a lot of players will be kneeling or showing some form
Daniel
of
Snyder
protest.
was another one, Chris, the owner of Washington, who said that he wouldn't tolerate it and whatnot. And now what's going to happen? Adrian Peterson's already on the record already.
Look, if the players kneel, there's nothing Jerry Jones can do.
Are you going to give it to everybody?
His foot's going to be in his mouth. His foot's going to be in his mouth. There's nothing he can. Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, assuming he signed, which I think he will be, all their players, come on. What's he going to do? He ain't going to be able to do nothing. So he needs to go ahead, and as you said, he needs to say something for the right reasons, not just because he's going to end up looking silly when his players disrespect him.
Exactly.
Not the flag, but his order. Disrespect that. So, but you want him to do it for the right reasons. But I agree with Sherman and what you said, man. Like, again, this is a guy that's always talking. He's probably, is it even close to him he's the most outspoken and owner in the league.
Yep. Maybe in all of sports, Chris, to be honest. No, I don't know of any other owner that have a radio show. Mark
Cuban, is those two. And it happened to be in Dallas, both of them. But, yeah, he needs to step up. And I think this is going to be really interesting to watch, to see what he does and what the league does. And then you got Trump. Like, it's going to be very interesting. All right, let's throw it out to the callers. 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. Does Jerry Jones need to speak up in support of the players? Or if he doesn't agree with the protest to begin with, is he better off just staying silent? We'll continue the conversation with you next.
Let's start with Shu in Virginia. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. Shu, what you got?
Hello, gentlemen.
What's up?
Kudos on a great show, thought-provoking.
Thank
Let
you.
me first just state that I'm white, middle America, 11-pound dog, 2 kids that have grown and married 43 years. And you know what? For all it's worth, and I'm trying to be as honest as I can, the pain in your voices speaks volumes. And the reason I say that is I don't really feel that the middle America white person, they can say they understand, they empathize and all, but again, the pain in your voices tells me all I need to hear.
Hey, Shu, let me say this real quick, and I'm glad. Keep them on. I want to say this real quick. You're hearing that from Chris and I. Chris and I are very successful people, educated, have a good life. All right? We both have a good life. And it tells you, imagine all the other black and brown people who aren't in our position. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's a great point.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes. And to get to the Jerry Jones point, and then just bear me a second, because I don't know if you were in Charlottesville, but I was. And it was a gut-wrenching experience. I had gotten laid up there with pneumonia after corrective heart surgery, but I was in the hotel where the police were unloaded. They were going to take care of the crowds, which they never did. But I don't think, and again, I'll bring some things to the table that are rhetorical. The flag, the anthem, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. You can have them both. And let me give you just one example. I know you got other callers, but I was in Charlottesville when all this was going on, and I'll never forget. Are you familiar with the stormtroopers in Nazi Germany, what their role was in getting Hitler to the chancellery, and then after they were used up, the SS came into prominence. But I stood there and I watched at night these guys in stormtrooper uniforms bearing the Nazi swastika, the flag of Germany at that time. And I watched 2 Navy veterans, both had Yorktown across their hats. One was in a wheelchair, the other gentleman was pushing them. And I'm telling you, I was so close to tears because they just shook their head. And, the Yorktown was in the Pacific Theater. They weren't in Europe, but still, so many lives, so many tears over that. And when I see those flags, and I see the hate that comes out of those vile groups, it gets under my skin. And to go full circle now to our flag, when someone kneels, maybe I'm skewed on this, but I think it's a prayer. I think it's a prayer.
Well, he did do it out of respect. He talked with a Green Beret, and they said, look, kneeling's never been viewed as an act of disrespect in this country, right? In this culture. So he knelt. And that's
because he wanted to do the right thing. He could have, Chris, he didn't have to listen to Nate Boyer.
Right.
He could have just said, screw Nate Boyer. You're not telling me what to do.
Exactly.
That's what he could have done.
He was trying to do it very peacefully.
He was. Jamie in Memphis, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Jamie?
First of all, you guys, I just look forward to your show every day. I get off my job and I do the door dashing thing at night, and man, you guys make my night so much on the radio. But
thank you, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I just want to quickly point out real quick before the Jerry Jones, the NASCAR thing. My neighbor is an African American. He's really my best friend, and he's a big NASCAR fan. So the fact that they got rid of these Confederate flags, man, it's so great. He can go to a race now, and let's hope we can get to the point where he can enjoy it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And Bubba Wallace tonight, Richard Petty actually is allowing them to drive, have a Black Lives Matter car on Bubba Wallace's car, which looks really cool.
Awesome?
You guys should check that out, man.
That's great.
Getting back to Jerry, man, like this guy, man, he's made so much of his money. He's got so many fans that are, like you said, African American, most of his team, the people that support him. And, man, let's just stand up and do the right thing. You know, he's such a voice. Like you said, these people in sports, and this can include the owners, have such a voice to unite us. And if his thing is really about the flag and he thinks it's somewhat disrespectful, he needs to understand, man, the intentions, it's not, just like you said and everything. Someone needs to try to get that through to him because, like, I get it. But it's just like you guys said, something that's really bothered me about this whole disrespecting the flag thing is a slap in the face to African Americans, as many as served this country. You know, you want to talk about being patriots. You know what I mean? If that's what it's about, you know, he's not having any racial intentions. He just really thinks it's about the flag and respect. Someone needs to get that through to him, man. And I just want to say I appreciate you guys.
Great call,
Jamie.
man.
Thank you. Call. Really. How about our buddy Sean in Sacramento? You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Sean?
My uncle's from another mother, man. Hey, y'all sounded intelligent. Y'all sounding amazing right now, man. Glad to have y'all on the radio tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate it.
So my quick point, man, I got a couple of them. I think Jerry Jones is obligated to make a statement, man. If the commissioner is willing to come out, admit that they were wrong, admit that Black lives do matter, Jerry Jones needs to go ahead and admit that he was wrong, that he was changing the statements into something about the flag instead of what it really was, and stand with his players. And if he's not willing to do that, those players of color on his team are obligated to not play for this man. They need to stand up for somebody because they sure didn't do it for Colin at the time that he was doing his protest. And then the other point that I want to make is if NASCAR is finally able to take down the Confederate flag, Washington needs to take down that name and make it more, something more inclusive of everybody, of indigenous people, of people of color. And baseball needs to go ahead and make those changes too. If NASCAR, who claims to be deeply rooted in tradition, could do something to revolutionize and make it more inclusive for everybody, so can the other sports.
Hey,
that's a great point because it was a bigger. Obviously, they all need to do it right. It's a bigger step for NASCAR.
No doubt.
It wouldn't be as big of a step for the Atlanta Braves and you know what I mean, so on and so forth. The Redskins. So that's a great point.
Yep. Joseph in Virginia. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Joseph?
Good evening, fellas. Great show tonight. Fellas,
Thank you.
I got to say, man, I got to put Jones in the same conversation as Dolan. Dolan did the most unnecessary thing in 2014. If you guys look it up, he made a song about Trayvon Martin. There was an article on Deadspin, and there was actually a pretty good piece written on it. As far as Jones,
a lot of good pieces on Deadspin.
Yeah, you put me on, Rob. I got to get you a plug in. Got to get you a plug in. But as far as with Jones, to say that you won't let your players play or there will be repercussions if they kneel, but when you're playing the Washington Redskins, you take all your players to the National Black Museum. That doesn't add up. That's sending the wrong message. I think what Roger Goodell did was he stood. I think that was more of a stand of him standing up to the owners. I think maybe he wanted to speak last time but couldn't, and he was just like, okay, well, I'm not going to go run through my normal checklist. I'm just going to go ahead and address this because it needs to be. I think that James Dolan, if we really want to see a change, we got to get James Dolan out, and we have to get Jerry Jones out. Those are the two most racist owners in the leagues.
Well, that's a good call. And it's interesting, Rob, because remember the article we talked about with Joe Lockhart, the former VP of communications for the NFL, who said Kaepernick should be signed? He said in his article that he wrote on CNN that, now whether it's true or not, I mean, I don't know why he lied, but he said Goodell was calling teams trying to get them to sign Kaepernick. He didn't say he ordered anything or, you know what I mean? But he said he was trying to get teams to sign Kaepernick, and they didn't want to because they thought it was bad for business. Now, again, take that for what it's worth, believe it or not. But I'm just saying that's what Lockhart wrote in his article.